you ever hear a Harley roar and wonder what kind of magic makes that sound? It's not just metal and grease. It's legacy, craftsmanship, and a whole lot of muscle memory packed into every bolt. What goes on inside those factory walls might surprise you. And once you see it, you'll never hear that engine the same way again. Before the engine growls or the wheels spin, the process starts with nothing more than raw steel, aluminum, and a set of blueprints that's been refined over decades. There's no chrome yet, no roar, just racks of metal waiting to be shaped into something legendary. At Harley Davidson's York facility, for example, truckloads of heavy-duty tubing rolls in daily. These aren't preformed parts. They're long, thick industrial rods. Think of it like a sculptor starting with a block of marble. Except this sculptor's using robotic welders and multi-axis CNC machines that cut with pinpoint precision. These machines don't guess. Everything is pre-programmed to micrometer level tolerances. One wrong cut and the part is scrapped. And Harley doesn't do close enough. Not when the frame has to carry hundreds of pounds of torque, rider, and gear while handling like a dream at 70 miles per hour. But this isn't just about structure. These frames also have to look good. Clean welds, consistent finishes, mounting points that line up perfectly for engine fitment later. And that's all before it even gets painted. Here's the wild thing most people miss. Before the bike even looks like a bike, it's already been inspected half a dozen times. X-rays are used on welds. Laser scanners check alignment. Robots handle the muscle. But it's the human touch that signs it off. If it passes, it heads down the line. If not, it's back to square one. This is where Harley begins, before the rubber hits the road, and long before the engine even breathes for the first time. Now, let's talk about what makes a Harley sound like a Harley. The engine. That iconic V-twin rumble isn't a fluke. It's the result of hand-built power plants, used and torqued with absolute precision. It all starts at the Powertrain Operations Facility in Menomonee Falls, Wisconsin, where Harley engines are still assembled one at a time by real technicians, many of whom have been doing it for decades. And that matters, because unlike fully automated car engine lines, Harley keeps the human element in the loop. The hands that build the engine also know what it should feel like. Each engine begins as a set of cases. These are cleaned, polished, and loaded onto assembly fixtures. Then comes the crankshaft, camshafts, pistons, and valve train. Technicians torque each component to exact specs using digital tools that confirm every move. It's a mix of old-school craftsmanship and high-tech accountability. One of the most impressive parts? The engines are tested before they ever meet the bike. They're hooked up to dynos, essentially treadmills for engines, where they're run in under computer control loads. That throaty growl you hear when a Harley idles? It's been fine-tuned here. Temperature, torque, fuel delivery, ignition timing. Every bit of it gets logged, analyzed, and stored. And if something's off, if the vibration's too high or the torque curve looks wrong, it's flagged. No guesswork. No, it'll be fine. These engines aren't just power sources. They're the heartbeat of the brand. And once it passes the dyno test, it's moved carefully to meet the frame it was destined for. Now comes the part where the bike actually starts to look like a Harley frame assembly. This is where steel meets power, and that skeletal chassis turns into a rolling machine. At this stage, the frame, which has already been cut, welded, and painted, meets the engine on the line. And trust me, this isn't a two-bolt job. This is a choreography of torque specs, alignment lasers, and team coordination that's been practiced down to the second. The engine is lifted into place using articulated hoists, precision machinery that holds it steady while techs bolt it into the frame from multiple angles. Vibration dampers, engine mounts, rear brackets, all installed in sequence. Even the angle or insertion matters. If it's not sitting just right, the whole thing can throw off the handling. Next comes the swing arm, rear suspension, and wheels. And all of this happens on what looks like a moving stage. The line rolls forward slowly, with different teams handling different subsystems, suspension specialists, brake technicians, wiring experts, all working in harmony. Think of it like an orchestra, but with torque wrenches instead of violins. There's also a running log attached to every single bike, a digital report that updates in real time. If one bolt is over-tightened or a cable routed even slightly wrong, it's recorded, and the tech responsible sees it immediately. Fix it now, or it doesn't move on. By the time this step is done, the Harley is no longer just a frame or an engine. It's a machine with a presence. Still raw, still unrefined, but already unmistakable. This is where raw metal turns into rolling attitude. After frame welding and panel shaping, every body piece, tank, fender, side panels, enters one of the most controlled areas in the entire factory, the paint shop. And it's not just about color. This stage is identity. Every Harley paint job has to do one thing: command attention before the throttle's even touched. The process starts with prep. Parts are washed, degreased, and electrocoated to prevent rust. Think of it as primer with armor. From there, each piece enters a temperature-controlled booth where either robotic arms or, on custom lines, specialist painters layer on the base color. These aren't just sprayed on, they're layered, air-dried, and checked under bright halogen lights for inconsistencies. If a speck of dust lands on the tank mid-spray, that panel goes back. No second chances. Harley's signature looks, like vivid black, gunship gray, or the iconic two-tone combos, are often hand-masked and detailed. And the pinstripes? Many are still done by hand, with artists literally painting curves on hundreds of tanks with the steadiest of hands you'll ever see. Once the color's on, it's time for clear coat. Then, the baking begins. High-temp curing ovens seal the paint, giving it that signature mirror finish. Panels come out looking like liquid metal, and they're inspected under what's basically a runway of floodlights. Any ripple, bubble, or blemish gets flagged. Harleys don't leave the factory looking okay. They leave looking iconic. By now, the bike's engine and frame are matted, and it's rolling under its own weight. But without its skin, it's missing that Harley attitude. That's where the body panels come in. The freshly painted fuel tank, polished to a glass-like shine, is gently mounted to the frame. And it's a moment. The entire line slows slightly for this stage. Not because it's complicated, but because this is the crown jewel. That tank is the brand, and how it's mounted says a lot about the craftsmanship behind it. Fenders are next, front and rear. Brackets are aligned, bolts are torqued, and every curve is matched to the wheel arches with a near-perfect gap of tolerance. These aren't random parts slapped on. They're matched in-house for consistency. Even things like chrome trim or badge placement are measured with tools, not just eyeballs. Then it's handlebars, mirrors, levers, seats, pipes. Everything's added with flow. Exhausts are fitted and aligned so the twin pipes are symmetrical down to the millimeter. Leather seats are bolted down and pull tested. Every nut and bolt gets its final torque check. And every technician has one job: to make it feel like it was built for one person, the rider. Now here's the part most people don't expect, because under all that steel and thunder, these bikes are smart. Like, really smart. Modern Harleys are loaded with electronic control units, ABS, traction control, ride modes, Bluetooth infotainment, navigation, security systems, the whole digital package. So once the mechanical assembly's done, the bike moves to the electronic calibration stage. Here, technicians install the battery, connect the wiring harnesses, and run full diagnostics on a touchscreen interface that connects to every sensor. If there's a short, a loose ground, or a miscommunication between modules, it shows up instantly. But this isn't just plug and play. The wiring process is surgical. Cables are routed through the frame, zip-tied in hidden spots, clipped along predefined paths. Why? Because vibration can wear through cables over time, and Harley bikes are meant to rumble. So every wire is routed like it's going into battle. Then the bike is keyed on for the first time. Lights blink to life, gauges sweep, infotainment screens flash the Harley logo, and just for a moment, the line goes quiet. Because if anything's off, the diagnostics will catch it. And if it passes, we're almost at the finish line. No Harley ever rolls off the line without proving itself first. Every bike heads to the roll test station, where it's strapped into a treadmill-like platform. Wheels spin, gears are shifted, brakes are slammed. Throttle's rolled on like it's hitting the highway, and all of it happens inside a sealed room with sensors tracking performance in real time. Vibration is checked, throttle response, idle quality, even the sound, that famous Harley rumble, it's not just allowed, it's measured. If it doesn't growl the way it's supposed to, it's flagged. But even if everything looks perfect on paper, there's still one more test: the human eye. Final inspectors walk around the bike, checking alignment, bolt tightness, fuel levels, paint quality, and how everything sits. They'll even feel how the throttle rolls or how the clutch pulls. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't ship. And when it passes every check, it's cleaned, wrapped, and sent off, either to a dealership floor or straight to a customer's garage. And just like that, another legend is born.